Hi, welcome to Office Hours, a podcast about what leadership looks like actually in real life, not in theory, not in titles, and not in perfect conditions. I'm your co-host, Lisa,
And I am Carolina.
and today we're going to talk about goal setting.
That is true. We were talking about how important it is to set goals as leaders, but also how important, like even more important maybe, is to set the goals based on the outcomes and not necessarily on what's in the middle of it, which is basically kind of like could potentially become micromanaging. So it is important to understand that goal setting, yes, it's about SMART goals and specifics. But when you start being too specific, you do not give room to those that are working with you to actually come up with their own ideas, innovation, and so on.
Yeah, it's really important to set the right goals. And I find as a leadership coach, I find people on both ends of the spectrum, people who are too specific and tell people exactly not only what to do, but how to do it. And then I find people who are pretty loosey-goosey about what they're supposed to be doing. And people actually don't even know what they're supposed to be doing. I'll be really honest, my first job, I didn't know what I was supposed to be doing. I spent a lot of time cleaning my desk. I wasn't really sure what to do. And my boss didn't even tell me, and she was too busy to tell me. It was not a good situation for either her or me because she was frustrated at me for not doing a job, and I was frustrated because I didn't know what the job was.
Yeah, and there's also sometimes, and I do remember a couple of those jobs where they wouldn't tell you anything, but on top of that, you will be doing things wrong. And you would be like, but how do you know? Like, how do I know what I'm supposed to be doing right or wrong? Right? If you're not giving me anything to go by, and then at the end of the day, you will bring information, they'll be like, but that's not the outcome I was looking for. And you're thinking, well, I mean, you're lucky I had something to show you with the very little information you gave me. And on the other side of the spectrum, then you have the boss that will tell you exactly how they want things done. And if you deviate a tiny bit to one of the sides, right away they'll feel that you are not following their lead.
Yeah, and they get angry. Sometimes they get angry.
Oh yes.
Um,
Well, the personality connects with that. Micromanaging, sometimes controlling, and then anger kind of goes connected for the most part.
because it's a control issue, right? They're trying to control you, and people resent being controlled. This is the problem with micromanaging. You think you want to tell people and control the work and get exactly the work done that you want to get done as a leader. But people really resent being controlled. People value their autonomy, their opinion, their skills. They've worked hard to get to this position. And if you don't trust them to do the job, they get resentful. And then sometimes they'll do what you tell them to do. But if it goes wrong, that's on you. Well, you told me to do it that way. Not my problem.
Well, that too, and
And they disengage.
100%. Like they do not think that their work it's important. They just become that medium that leader is using to do more work. It's almost it kind of looks like passing the ball in a way. Like it's like I have to do all of this, but you have to do it this way, and I don't really care about what you have to add to this project. I just want you to automatically do what I want you to do. I was talking about this a little bit in my class yesterday in entrepreneurship, and I was telling students how difficult it is to go from a small company to a medium one because of that exactly, that you're that person, and it could be at any point in your life as a leader. When you have a team or you have someone new, then that's the moment where you have to figure out how are you going to give that space to that person to actually be able to fulfill those outcomes that come with the job. Because when you're interviewed, they ask you if you know how to do this and that, and how good are you at this and that. And generally, it looks like it's a job that needs you to do so many things. And suddenly you come in and your leader is like, yeah, no, you don't do this, you do it this way and that way. And you're like, but they interview me for something very different. I thought I was going to have some autonomy. I thought you were interviewing me because you knew I was bringing something new to the table. But at the end, that wasn't the case. So one side is like, well, you're interviewing a whole different person that is going to come and hopefully do what you don't know how to do well. So then it's going to help you. But on another note, then you get there and that person is not going to let you. And that happens quite a bit in entrepreneurship when you go from small to medium because you're used to doing everything. So you might
Yeah.
not want to have that opportunity to give that to other person because you don't think that they're going to do it right.
Yeah,
That
maybe we should do another whole episode on the interview process. But you're right, people, it onboarding should be a continuation of that interview process. And when it's not, it's really upsetting. And then you really don't know what you have been hired to do. And these are all really problems. I'm wondering if maybe we should just move the conversation to a few ways to do it right. There's so many ways to do it wrong, and we can get stuck talking about the problems all day, and they're kind of fun. But I think sometimes it's better just to say, well, how do you do it right if those are not the right way to do it, right? If SMART goals can end up micromanaging, and if no goals end up just being too loose and not having people not know what to do, then what is the right way to do the goals? I'm a big fan. So can I just start with a couple of examples?
yes, definitely.
Okay, let's just go that way. Um, I'm a big fan of measuring goals. I think that of the SMART goal acronym, specific, measurable, actionable,
Reachable
reasonable, and
mhm,
what is that? Time bound.
on time.
Um, and yes, I'm a big fan of deadlines for sure. Um, but I really think the measurable is the most important part. Can you measure it? One really easy example that everybody can understand is in accounting. If you're an accountant, generally junior accountants have to do bank reconciliations. And let's say your job, you have to do 10 of those by the 10th of the month. Every single month, you have to reconcile 10 accounts by the 10th of the month. And so that's the goal, right? Just do those bank reconciliations by the 10th of the month, and then you can measure it. And the boss can check in on the 10th of the month and just say, hey, how are your bank recs going? How many have you completed? And you really just want to know how many they got done, right? And they might say 8 because they had some problem. They were out one day, their car, their pet, their family needed them. Something really got in the way, and that's normal and fine. And say, okay, all right, thank you. And can we get the other 2 done by tomorrow? And let's just work with, human being to human being. We just get them done. On the other hand, your boss might check in and say, well, how many bank recs have you done? And you might say, oh, I did 15 because the other person was out. She got something, her pet or her family needed her. And I just picked up her work. So, we could just keep going and make sure everything was done. And so, there's like the overperforming. And it doesn't mean that if you just got 8 that month, you're underperforming, but it's a measuring stick. And so the next month, if most months you're getting 10, 8 once or twice is not a big deal, right? We know life happens. This is part of being human. But you have a track record and you can look back. How many months did you get at least 10 done? If you're doing more than 10 month after month because you're picking up everybody else's work because they can't do it, you're the high performer. You're the most likely to get promoted next. So think about how you're going to help your other friends get their work done on time because pretty soon you might be managing them. So, figure it out. Let's all get our work done on time.
Very
But is
true.
that measuring, is that truth, right? That ground truth that you can't say, I'm good, I'm bad. We're not judging. We're just counting what you did.
Well, and in a way, I think that you said two things that are good tips from that example. The first one is that you have to focus on the outcomes, not in how you get there. It is a given, in a way, that you are hiring someone that knows what they're doing. So you don't really need to be on top of every single step to get to that outcome. I've had many times where I've been able to give the team psychological safety for them to be
Sure.
able to take the time and do things on their own terms. And many times I've been surprised that maybe I'm doing things that are harder or maybe in a way that it was better. Somebody else just comes and tells you how to do it, and it's fantastic. So I think that the outcome is, if you actually want to be able to stop micromanaging and in a way give that person the opportunity to show you what they're made of, in a way, is focusing on that outcome. And the other thing that you said that was very important is you need to be able to measure it. Because if I don't know when I've reached that goal, then how am I going to know I'm doing things right or I am doing what I'm supposed to? And as we were saying, I think that the last episode, we were talking about how important it is to have a purpose and then to understand how I am one part of the goal set of all this company. Like I am part of that. So I need to understand when my contribution is actually making an impact on the greater good. And that's if you measure it. And this reminds me, in one of my jobs, I remember that I used to work in sales and I was not given a goal. I was just given oh, keep on selling. And I'm like, yeah. And it was not on commission, which for me was a little bit awkward because sales is generally on commission and you work on your own time. But then what was complicated was that every time I'll bring a project, my boss will be like, oh, that's good, but I was hoping for this. So at one point, you get super disappointed because you are not given anything to measure yourself by or like to know if you're doing right. And on the other side, well, he was doing a good job in the terms of like just giving me my space to get to that outcome, only it was never reachable, which
Yeah, it's
was not great.
you need to have that medium, right? It's and this is so true of so many things in business. Going too far in either direction is going to be a problem. You have to dial it in and get it right to that middle point, right? Where you're giving people guidance, you're giving people support, but you're not stepping on their toes. You're not standing over them. You're not holding a whip or you know, a threat over their head every moment. It's about supporting them. If they're having trouble getting something done, they should be able to come to you, or hopefully you're checking in every week and just saying, where are you having trouble? And well, I had trouble with this, and you talk it through. That's that shop talk that we all love to have with our direct reports and our peers. We all like what we do. So if we're talking about the problems, fine.
You know,
Um, and
you
that's
just
part of problem solving.
100%. And you just said something super important, and is the third tip, most likely. And is, as a leader, make yourself available. Because if the first tip, let's say, it's try and make sure that you are focusing on the outcomes, and then the
Yeah.
second one is make sure that you are giving your employees or your teammates a reachable goal, like something that you can measure your
Yeah.
goal by. Then the third one is, well, you can let them know that you are available and that you are reachable and that you're someone that if they feel that there's here and there a problem, they can go back to you, because you also want to make sure that as much as you want them to succeed on their own, you also want them to understand that the company moves this way or that things go this way, and you have the experience as well. So you don't want to give that opportunity to just have someone like a loose cannon there just doing their
Right.
own thing.
Right.
Because then after that, you're also going to go back to that person and say, well, look, you were too free on this. And they're going to say, well, yeah, but you gave me the space and you never told me I was doing it
Right.
wrong. So checkpoints, make yourself available, and then maybe also have some checkpoints along the way. So
Yeah.
at least everybody's on the same path.
I think that is the right way to do it, right? More than just making yourself available, check in. Check in frequently. And it really depends on the pace of your business. You might need to check in daily. I have some clients who check in with their boss. They've got a 5-minute check-in every single day, making sure that nothing has changed, that they all know what they're supposed to be doing for the day. I have clients who check in once every 2 weeks because they have longer term goals and they know what they're supposed to be doing for those 2 weeks. And it's really not going to change. It's just these are, you know, engineers, they're engineering products. It takes a couple of weeks to make enough progress to have a check in. So some are every day, some are every 2 weeks, but have those check ins based on the pace of your business. So, yes, have focus on the outcome, make the goals measurable, check in frequently. Those would be my 3 top tips for getting really good goal setting happening in your team And a lot of things start to come together when really good goals are set and clear and visible and understood by everybody. And everyone can just take their effort and put it where it matters.
I agree. I think that those three will be the main three tips. And if you use those three with time, you're going to see that the outcomes are going to be better. People are going to be happier. Your teams are going to be a bit more cohesive every time. And you're going to get to where you want to go.
I think so. Maybe that's it for today.
So if you have a case that is keeping you up at night, send us an email to leadershipu25@gmail.com and we will talk about it in a future episode. For now, follow us on Instagram or subscribe to our YouTube channel and see you in the next episode.
See you soon.